Welcome to lecture 45. This is a continuation of magic squares. In connection to pyramids, we saw the last lecture, lecture 44, which was split into two parts, about the dream of Jacob, about his ladder, which I said was really a ziggurat that has these like a ramp and the steps going up. So this is what he saw and envisioned. Very frequent, the ziggurats in Mesopotamia. So that would be something which, having seen them, would be something dreamable. He obviously saw ladders, but he didn't see ladders just floating in space. So that's what I think it really was, a ziggurat or ziggurat. And I showed you how what he saw in that dream was reproduced later on in his peace deal or peace agreement with Laban, where he makes this pile, which I show is really a model of what his dream was, and is really a square pyramid, where it had 4 levels, as the rabbis say that it had 4 levels, and these ziggurats have actually got, some of them have got 4 major levels besides the ramp going up. And I showed you the connection between that pile of stones, that heap of stones, and a piece. So, because heap and piece have the same gematria. So we're going to look at magic squares in a little bit more detail in connection with the pyramids, and particularly with the Great Pyramid in Giza, is it, in Egypt, and particularly because it's missing the capstone. So this is going to link into a few things. It's going to link into my book on the $1 bill, which some people have purchased, and where it's missing the capstone on the seal, or the pyramid. It shows you the pyramid. It's going to link into magic square. I gave a lecture on square, or the word square and squares, in one of my earlier lectures. So it's going to bring these things together. And it's going to link into the idea of the Messiah as well. So where do we go from here? I'm going to find some pens that work, hopefully. Some new ones. Let's see this. It doesn't work at all. Somebody give me a fool's one. Let's try. I've got one here. Okay, we can go. I've got another packet. So magic squares. Let me just give you an introduction of how one calculates magic squares. To do a magic square, the odd ones are very easy. The even ones are quite complex to do. You can find YouTube videos on how to do magic squares. What I'm interested in is what the rows and columns and diagonals come to be equal, because that's what makes them magic, because you get all these numbers, so many of them, and yet you can make these rows and all the columns and then the diagonals all having the same number, and that's quite a feat. So that's been the aim. So let's have a look first at the word square. We've had this in my square lecture. The word square equals 81 in the placement value. I'm just going to give you the 2 values that are of significance, and in the normal value is 576. That's the normal value. And I could refer those who just come into this lecture should really watch the first 7 or 8 lectures that I've given, because they go through all these systems and how they're connected, interrelated, and where I got them from. So normal value, the decimal value where S is 100, in the placement value it's 19, it's the 19th letter. So we add them all together and it gets 81 and 576. And we said that 81 was 9 squared and 576 was 24 squared. And in my lecture squared, I went into a bit of the significance of these 2 numbers and how they're related to the letter mem, which is the Hebrew letter, which represents a square. That's a final mem, which occurs when it occurs at, this is the normal mem, when it's in the middle of a word, at the beginning of the word. When it comes at the end of the word, it transforms into that shape. There are 5 letters that do that, and therefore the final mem has 2 possible values in every system. It can either be 13, because mem is the 13th letter, or if you put all the 5 final letters at the end of the alphabet, the last letter being taf, which is 22. Final chaf is the first of the final letters. Final chaf is 23. Final mem is 24. So we see a link between 24 and the final mem. And I show other things in my lecture on square, which you can watch if you go to my channel. So then these two square numbers, which are squared, to do with square, have their own magic squares. So let's just have a look first of all. I think a bit of an introduction how we get the columns and the rows, etc. How do we get those numbers? So basically, if you've got a square, let's take this simple square of a 3 by 3 magic square. This pen is dying on me as well. So let's transform all these and put those on the floor. Let's see what I've got. What have I got? Green. We try green. So we've got, and this is quite simple. You put 5 in the middle. Why do I put 5 in the middle? Because 1 to 9, if I add 1 and 9, I get 10, and then I have to halve it. So that you do that for any of the odd ones. And halve it is going to be 5. Then I put a 1 there. And the next number we go diagonal, go there too, which you can't because there's nothing there. So we fold it over. This is called the warping of space. Okay, we put it over here too, and 3 will go there, so it goes down there. 4 can't go up there, so it has to go 2 to the right, which is here. And then 5, and then 6, and then 7 would go up there, but it can't because there's a 4 there. If you warp it around that way, can't go there. It's going to go 2 to the right. So if we're going to 7, we're going to go 2 to the right this way. So go there 7, 8 goes down there, 9 goes there, which goes over there. So there we are. And then each one of these opposite ones will add up to 10, and with the 5 will come up to 15. So we have now each of the columns coming up to 15. Okay, and all the height, all the columns and rows, right? All 15. How do we do that simply without having, if we've got a big one like a, I don't know, a 21 by 21, how do I know without having to do the whole lot? What we do is we add up all the numbers. Let's have a look. So if I add up from 1 to 9 and add all the numbers together, I'll get 45. Okay, I'll get 45, and that will be the total of all those numbers. How do I do that if I've got a lot of numbers? So I can look at, I've got 1 plus 9, I've got 2 plus 8, 3 plus 7, it's all these opposite ones, 4 plus 6, and that's as far as it goes, because a 5 is an odd one by itself. Now, these numbers are all 10, and I've got 4 of them. I've got 4 times 10. So, what I do is I say, well, how do I get 4? I look at 9 and 1 to 9, and I say, what's the middle number? Well, it's 4.5, so I have to go down to 4. In other words, I take 1 away from the number 9, and I get 8, and half of that is 4. I do all the things. It's 21. I take 1 away from 21, I do get 20, and half of that will be 10. And that's my multiplier. That will multiply that. But then I have to add the middle number. The middle number will always be above the 4, be 5, because the 5 is central. There'll be 4 that way, 4 that way. So I get 40, and I have to add 5 more, and I'll get 45. And that's the total of the whole sum. And to get each row, well, if there's 3 rows, which is 3 by 3, so I'll have to divide that by 3. So 45 divided by 3 will be 15. And I can do that with all the all the odd number magic squares and even number magic squares as well. Just that you won't have the middle number of the even magic squares. You'll just work it out from, because there'll be an absolute even number of numbers. So you'll get the middle number, the row, the magic number, let's call it, by working it out this way. So I'm going to give you those in a minute for various magic squares, but we're going to look at, first of all, the magic square of 9 and 24. So the magic square, actually when you add up all the numbers from 1 to 9, it's called triangular 9. If you add all the numbers up to 16, 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to 16, so 4 by 4, so it will be called triangle 16. Why is it called triangle? We put a dot there. I'm going to gradually get rid of these old pens and look for some new ones. Put a dot there, a dot there and a dot there. So that's triangle 2. This is triangle 3. This is triangle 4. And this is triangle 5. Alright, so there you get the total. That's 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. And the triangle, so you're adding the numbers up, so because they form a triangle. So we use the little symbol of a triangle, or the word triangle, to show that. So we have 81, which is 9 by 9. So to add up all the numbers from, if I did a 9 by 9 square, it's quite big. Okay, it would be 9 by 9. How many numbers will it be? It would be 9 by 9. It would be 81 numbers, and the highest number will be 81. So if I'm going to add up 1 plus 2 plus 2 all the way to 81, I call that triangle 81. And what was that equal to? That comes to a big number. It comes to 3,321. Now if I want to know the magic number, I have to divide that by 9, because I've got 9 rows of 9 columns, and that will equal to 369. And that number might ring a bell with some of you, because that's Tesla's famous number, 369. And question is, why is that so special? There's some very interesting videos on this number, on why it's special in the sense of mathematics. I'll show you why it's special in terms of creation. The reason why it's so special in terms of creation, because it's actually the gematria of God's name. If we take God's name that was used in the creation story, Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et ha'aretz, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Elokim has the gematria of that. So I just show that. I'm going to put a dash there. Elokim. Now, using the alternative large values, Aleph is 34, Lamed is 87, Hey is 42, Yud is 39, and Mem, because it's the alternative value, which would be 24 in the placement value, and 24 is 167. Alright? Yud is the 10th letter, 10 is 39, Hey is the 5th letter, 5 is 42, Lamed is the 12th letter, is 87, etc. And that will give me 369. So we see that number actually got a connection to God, and we'll see connection to God and the pyramid shortly. Would you believe? So, okay, if some interesting things that I'm going to show you. Let's take this away. Now, the cap of the pyramid, if you look at the dollar bill, it's got an eye at the top. A lot of people look at what this eye is. This is the evil eye. This is the eye that is going to keep an eye on us and watch us. This is 1984, Big Daddy's watching, or Big Brother's watching. This is the fear that the dollar bill has been written by some evil Masonic people. It might well have been done by Freemasons. Whether it's evil or not, I do not accept that at all. On that dollar bill it says, "In God we trust." Amazing. You find another currency around the world where it's got God that we trust, that we don't trust in money. We don't put our trust in money, we put our trust in God. We shouldn't turn money into an idol. So in which way does this dollar bill represent something evil? This eye at the top of the dollar bill is something very special. This eye is the third eye. It's the eye, the single eye. The single eye that's in the what we call the pineal gland, which when one uses this properly brings the sixth sense, you call it, extrasensory perception, psychic effects, intuitive thought. These things are aroused by the pituitary gland and the pineal gland. We'll see how this all relates to the pineal gland soon. So if I add these two numbers together, I've got 81 and I've got 576. Yep. And add those together, I get 756. I get 657. If I take 369 and I work out what that is as a word in words, in other words, 300. I'm going to do this a few times in this lecture. I've done it before. 300 and 69. Now if I work for this is an extension. What does this number represent? This I call now the body number, and this I'm going to create the soul number. And if I work that out, I get 288. This is a special number in Jewish Kabbalah because it represents the divine sparks that are concealed in the earth that need to be elevated through our good deeds. And it's connected to the second verse of the Torah, where it's Marachefet. Rachef is 288, which I talked about in the lecture on phi. So if I add these two numbers together, 369, I create what I call the body and soul number, I'll get 756. So I have this other relationship between the number which is connected to the 9 by 9 square and the two numbers coming together now, the 81 and the 576, forming this. That's the total number of squares within the two magic squares are related to this number here as well. It's like a circle, a cycle. So we'll look at that maybe a little bit later. Now we'll look at the other square, this one here, the 24 by 24. And this is just the foundation. We're going to understand what all this comes to in terms of the pyramid very, very soon. So we've got 576, which is 24 squared. What is the magic number for that? So we have to find the total. The total is 6,924. Okay, and then the total of all those numbers, 1 to 576, is 166,176. Big number, and we have to divide that by 24, and we will get that. In other words, this is our magic number. Okay, that is the magic number. What does that symbolize? Now, just remember this: on the dollar bill, you've got a truncated sort of pyramid, and at the bottom, you've got in the Latin numerals the date 1776. That was the year of the American independence. So that we worked out in my lecture. If you write it out as 1,700 and blah 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 776, and you work that one out like I did with 369, I'll get 456. We did this in the lecture. That's the placement value of 1,776. And this number related to the eye. If you remember again, I'll show you again. The eye at the top. In other words, there's this link between the bottom of the pyramid and the top. I need to use this number in a minute, so I'm just going to leave this here. The link between the bottom of the pyramid and the top, whereas the eye, is we take the word eye and we work out the large value, which is 233, and that's the LV value, and then we work out the normal inner value, which is 223, that's NIV, and we add that together, we get 456. And we said that this number 456 is the same as the number 4. It's the 456. That's the normal value for 4, right? F is 6, O is 60, U is 300, R is 90, gives you 456. And it's also connected to the word liberation. Liberation is also got I-O-N. That's also 456 in the normal value, because liberation is the freedom of in physical terms of slavery, but it also represents the freedom from the physical imprisonment that we are in at the moment, which is the psychic deadness that we're living in. It says that when the Messiah comes, we'll all be prophets. We'll all reach this level of psychic intuition. Please God, you never know. We might all be there. So we see this connection between the top and the bottom of the pyramid, both in terms of the 240, the 81 and the 576 structure. So I'm contesting that the number 81 represents a pyramid that is truncated, which has at the base 24 by 24 magic square, and at the top another magic square of 9 by 9, and they're linked together. And the next level that goes on top of this will be the capstone, and that will start with an 8 by 8 magic square, and it will go up to 1. So we're going to look at these numbers. They're quite interesting. But before I do that, we're just going to go back to this number here, because this is the base. And how do I connect this to this? Well, quite simply, if I work out 6,924 as the sole number, I'll get 456. That's the placement value of the word 6,924, all linked to this number here, linked to the number 4, linked to liberation. So why is 4? What's 4 got to do with liberation? Another time. But it has actually, what the fourth letter of the Hebrew alphabet is the door. Is a dalet. That's the dalet. That's the fourth letter, and the word dalet, if you spell it out, means a door. Okay, this is the door to freedom. This is the door to go out. So we move on to the capstone. To the capstone. And so one asks, why is there a capstone missing from the pyramid, the Great Pyramid? Well, this is what the capstone represents. The word cap has the normal value of 74, which is the same as Messiah, the placement value. So this is our messianic connection. I have done this before. That's the capstone. P is 70, A is 1, 3 is C is 3, is 74. Messiah and placement value is 74. But the word cap has more than just the placement value. It has the more than normal. That's the placement value, 20. It has a normal value of 74. It has the large value, 186, which is a very interesting number, which we'll go on some other time. It's actually toward makom, place in Hebrew. And it has the normal inner value of 200. That's the NIV. These are all the 4 values, the basic 4 values. If I add together these two, the normal and the large value, I'll get 260. Okay, 260. So we're going to look at the capstone, and the capstone is also a pyramid, only its base is 8. It's 8, starts at 8 and it goes all the way up. So let me just rub that off. I'm going to have more room. I need a big wipe. But just remember the 260. And we'll see how that is connected. So the one now on the cap starts at 8 by 8. So an 8 by 8 magic square has obviously got 64 squares. 64 is significant because Israel, which is the name which Jacob's name is changed from Jacob to Israel, equals 64. If we look at it in Hebrew, that's the placement value. Yisrael, that is again 64 in the placement value. Okay, Israel is always fighting with. The reason why he was called Israel because he fought with man and with God and he prevailed, or he fought with man and angel and prevailed. And is not Israel always in contention with the rest of the world? And we know at the moment that they are prevailing. Why are they prevailing? Because their mission has to be fulfilled. If the mission is not fulfilled, then the purpose of creation has not been fulfilled. Right? People don't realize that Israel. The reason why the Bible starts with the creation story and nowhere else, why don't it start with the story of Abraham? Start with the creation story because the purpose of the creation was the fulfillment of the reason why God created the world, to create a world where mankind could live together in peace and spiritually connected to God. And that comes through the pineal gland. So, so that's the beginning of the connection between the lower part of the pyramid and the upper part of the pyramid is through Israel. Okay, and particularly the connection of the Messiah with Israel as well, because Israel is connected with the Messiah. And I'll explain to you the name of the Messiah. If I take the normal value of Israel, it's 235. That's the normal value. And we've had the Messiah's name, Menachem Mendel Schneerson, and that equaled 235, 235 in the placement value, because the Messiah represents the general soul of Israel. He comes from Israel, and he's this general soul. We call it what we call Nefesh Klalit, the general soul, where he can connect to any person within Israel and uplift them. So, function of Israel then becomes the same, to uplift the whole of the world. So it comes through Israel into the rest of the world, and this elevation of mankind to the next level of, people might call it higher consciousness or whatever. It comes through this elevation of Israel. Okay, what the nations of the world, especially in the times of like the Greeks and the Romans, did wrong was try to quell the way of life of the Jewish people, the connection to God, to discard especially the Greeks, and what they should have been doing was to encourage it, because had they encouraged it, they would have brought about this era much quicker. So let's look at these squares now. We're going to go through the magic squares from 1 to 8. One to 8. If we look at all these magic squares, I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the magic square of 8 has, this is the bottom one, has a magic number of 260. And that was what we connected to the word cap. We added the two values of cap, we added the normal value and the large value, and we got 260. So the cap begins with the number 8, right? The magic square. And it goes all the way up. And all the magic numbers of these are as follows. Magic number 1 is 1. The magic number 2 is a question mark. We'll come back to that in a minute. 3 we've had before. 3 by 3 gives you 15. 4 by 4 is 34. And this is the number of unity. This is the number that connects. Okay, we've had this in the previous lecture. See how the number 4 represents connect, and particularly because 34 equals 1 in the placement value, because 1 is the idea of unity. And 5 gives you 65. 6 gives you 111, and 7 is 175. So all these are the numbers that of all the magic squares. These are all the magic numbers. Okay. Why is 2 got a question mark? Because with a 2 by 2 square, you don't get the same value for the columns and the rows, etc. If I put 1 here, I could put 2 there, and 4 there, and 3 there. Then I'll get 5 there, and a 5 there, but I'll get 7 there, and I'll get 3 there. I can shuffle around. I could let's put 2 down there, and the 3 up there. Then I'll get a 4 here, and I'll get a 6 here, but I'll get a 5 and 5 there. That's Israel. Okay, it's interesting that Israel had a brother called Esau. Esau. I can never spell his name actually. Esau. Okay. Esau, if we work that out, is 5 plus 19 plus 1 and 21, and I think you'll find that to be 46, which is the reverse of Israel, which is 64. Okay, that's another lecture. Okay, the story of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So the other way round, if I was to, let's say, put 3 there as we had before, and 2 there, so I get 3 and 7, that gives me 73, which is number, which is stone, because it's connected to the stone is a number. Each stone in that Jacob put down represented a number. It should be a B. I think it's equals something else as well, but it doesn't matter. So and we got 37. Yes, 73 is chokhmah, wisdom in Hebrew. Chokhmah has a normal value of 73 and has a placement value of 37. And I think when I talked about the creation, the first verse of the Torah, I showed you Kulam b'chachma asita, you created everything with wisdom. Wisdom is the basis, because 73 times 37 is 2,701, which is the gematria normal values of the whole verse. Bereshit bara Elokim hashamayim v'ha'aretz. In the beginning, God created heavens and earth. So that is created through the wisdom. So we got what you call an oscillating effect here. I can juggle these numbers around. I get 5 there, and etc. But the one that occurs most frequent is 5. That's the most frequent number that occurs. And these other numbers 6, 4, and 7, and 3. They both add up to 10. Because if you were to add the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, you would get 10. Okay? And then what you'll do is what we said before. You divide it by 2 by 2, and you'll get the magic number. But only that it only works this way. It will of course work diagonally if you get the numbers in the right position. You can put the 1 there and the 3 there, and I'll get 5 there and a 5 there. In the diagonals. So they always occur in pairs. So I'm going to call this magic number 5, even though strictly speaking it's called sort of an oscillating magic square. And in itself, I think that's very significant, because it's like it's like that the universe exists with two actual creative effects, if you want to say. One is symmetry, one is asymmetry. There's crystalline structures within the material of the earth, which gives you patterns and reflections. And you've got this amorphous rock, which has got no patterns. So you've got this idea of order and chaos. The two things go together, and they need to exist for each other. Pi, I've mentioned before, is the transcendental number, where there's no pattern within those decimal places. I think they've done billions of decimal places now. Still no pattern. Represents chaos. And yet, with it, you form the most symmetrical, infinitely symmetrical object in the universe, which is the sphere. Okay? Pi is the basis of what could bend. Bend was 25. Pi is 25. This is the idea of the power to bend. It is the creative force in the universe of curvature. Yet, it's connected to both chaos and to order. So, I don't want to get too deep into that, but we're going to stick to over here at the moment. I'm going to rub him off. So if I now look at the significance of these numbers, I'm going to work upwards. We're going to go from 8 all the way to our barrier. The barrier is the 2 by 2 triangle magic square, because it becomes chaotic. These numbers, if I add 15 plus 34 plus 65 plus 111 plus 175 and 260 gives me 660. If I look at that number, it is equal to Mashiach, Messiah. In Hebrew, it's Mashiach. And how is it equal to Mashiach? Because the normal value of Mashiach is 358. That's the normal value. And it has an normal inner value. It's an extension of the normal value of 302. That's the NIV value, and I get 306. I get 660. Okay, so we see this connection between Mashiach now and this cap. What about the last two numbers, which add up to 6? Well, that gives me the magic number 666, which is connected to the 6 by 6 square, because that would add up to 666. All the numbers from 1 to 36 is 666, giving us 111 as the magic number by dividing by 6. What is this number equal to? Is it the number of the devil? Is it the number of the beast? Well, it can be a number of anything you like, because we're not quite. People seem to make it into all sorts of things. Quite magical, this number. How amazing people can say, oh, let's take the alphabet. Sorry, not alphabet, it's Hebrew one. The English one, the alphabet, and let's start with A being 6 and B being 12 and C being 18. Go through the 6 times table. Then, oh, we can make lots of things equal 666 now, can't we? Because anything that equals to 100 and and 11 in the placement value will equal to 666 in our new gematria values, where A equals 6, B equals 12, because it's just a multiple of 6. I mean, if I say that, let's call A 7 and B 7, I can get 777. Wow, cool, lots of things equal 777, right? The magic number. No, I don't like those systems. Those are games. They have no real placement, no real meaning, because you just transfer something to what you want it to be by calling A, going through any of the tables, right? There's an infinite number of those you can do, and I don't think there's anything in those whatsoever. You stick to the placement value. That is the basic level, and that's what they are, without doing trickery with them. So, where do we go from there? Well, what is this 666? Well, I've mentioned this before. It's actually La Roche. It's not. Another pen. 3 1 4. Right, now what I've got to do this week is go buy some new pens. Roche Pinat. Okay, what's Roche Pinat? It's a town in Israel. Oh, no. It actually is part of the verse. Ever Masu Habanim, the stone that the builders have forsaken, has become, Hayata La Roche Pinat, has become La Roche Pinat, the headstone, the cornerstone. The word Pinat means corner. Ah, there's our number now. Corner equals 73, right? Stone equals stone. There you are, I put a stone in the corner. Foundation stone. La Roche, Roche means head. La Roche means the head cornerstone. What is this cornerstone? It is a cornerstone. It's the top of the pyramid, and it's become the Roche Pinat. Roche, that's 666 in the normal value. Also connected to that is when the serpent says to Eve, if you eat from the tree of knowledge, you will become like God, Elohim. But the word is like God, it's Ke Elohim, and the alternative normal value for the final mem is 600. And if you add that together, 5, 30, 1 and 20, you'll get 666. So what the serpent was saying, that Kelokim, you'll reach a very high spiritual level. You'll be like God, knowing good and evil. Le Roche Pinat, you'll go up in level. Okay, Le Roche Pinat represents the Messiah. This number is also connected to Messiah. Oh, how can the Messiah be connected to 666, the number of the beast? Well, because there are opposites. If you want to call the power that comes through into mankind, the creative power, which is 6, and I've spoken about this in my lecture on 666. You can't just take, oh look, 666 is the number of the beast. Well, it's the number of an energy. It's a number of a force, and that force is the creative energy. Excuse me. Okay, where do we go from here? It's getting late. I realise I've been yabbing on too long. There have to be another part to this, I'm afraid, because I've still got to go through the pineal gland and the pineal, where Jacob has this fight with the angel, and the connection between the eye and the third eye, with this whole story with the capstone. So we're going to leave it there, and so that's what's going to be in part 2 of this particular lecture. I'll call it lecture 45B, and we'll look at the this whole idea of the pineal gland, which is connected to the pineal, or pineal, which was the name that Jacob gave to the place which he fought the angel. A very interesting story. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed that. It's quite complicated. I appreciate it. All right, thank you very much. Bye.